get into some news. We're gonna start off with two social, cultural issues that popped off this week. One was the Dave Chappelle. I have yet to watch the stand-up. I don't know if you guys have watched the stand-up, but once again, Dave Chappelle's in the news. He is being eviscerated by a lot of the mainstream news for being transphobic, homophobic, and being called a white supremacist. Other headlines have basically questioned freedom of speech. So, fellas, do you want to chime in regards to whether or not you watched the stand-up? If so, how do you fare it? And then have you kept up with a lot of the controversy surrounding Dave Chappelle after the release on Netflix?
First, because I haven't watched it. So no, I haven't watched it. So I mean, I haven't really even heard about the news story, so I'm not sure why they're referring, calling him whatever it is they're calling him. So enlighten me.
Okay, well, we'll go around and see. Smith?
Yeah, I've watched it. I actually thought it was pretty funny, but I like Dave Chappelle. I have been following some of the aftermath of I guess the fallout or misunderstanding of what he's saying. I guess my biggest thing is this, right? Dave Chappelle has always said what he wanted to say, kind of like Paul Mooney. You know what I mean? And when he speaks about black folks, the red flags don't go up. There's no, why are you talking about blacks in this manner or saying nigger or using this or speaking out in these fashions? But when he speaks about transgender, all the red flags come out. You know what I mean? I still think in this country, we can say whatever we want to say about black people, but when we talk about transgender, all of a sudden, it's a fucking big ass issue. So in that vein, even with the cancel culture, like the shit was jokes, shit was funny. And if you listen to what he said, I don't think it was really, I think some of the shit was taken out of context of what he was saying.
Yeah.
I think it's just easy to get offended instead of being an active listener, instead of rethinking, instead of, being caught up in the let's agree to disagree. How do I handle it next time? You know what I mean? So I think people are just, I think it's easy to jump on the bandwagon and say, cancel, 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 cancel. But watch it.
Yeah.
Shit was funny. But I like Dave Chappelle. You know what I mean?
Black Zeus, what you got on this?
The same guy who made the black white supremacist. I'm saying
he is the guy that did that in his comedy show when he had the comedy show on Comedy Central.
When he was
Dave Chappelle show.
When he was cooning, it wasn't no, hey, take this off. He walked away from the Chappelle show because they wanted him to coon and he didn't want to do that shit.
Yeah, I think the breaking straw with that one was they wanted him to wear a dress, and he was like, I ain't wearing no dress.
They wanted him to wear a dress. They wanted him to do shit that he wasn't doing, basically.
Yeah. So, Black Zeus, thoughts, whether or not you've seen it, the headlines, the aftermath?
So, I read the headlines first because that's what got my attention. And, when I read the headlines, it seemed suspect, it seemed like things are out of context. It just seems like the way the way it's placed in some of the headlines or in some of the articles, they make it seem like he was just going for blood or something. Mm-hmm. And after actually watching the stand-up special 3 times, I could admit there were parts that I was just like, oh, that was a little whatever. But it wasn't like it was a bad joke. It might be, distasteful. It might have been a bad joke, but it wasn't like a hateful joke. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that people forget comedy is all about roasting. You know, like it's the married guy roasting his wife, or the wife roasting the husband, or roasting their kids, or roasting their mother-in-law. It's always about roasting somebody. And it's all good when somebody else gets roasted. The fat kid, the dumb husband, or the next door neighbor. But when it comes to you, everybody gets butthurt, And the thing is that if you can't laugh at yourself, or why is it okay for you to laugh at everybody else, but once you're in the hot seat, now you want to shut things down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that, I saw Dave Chappelle roasting basically the LGBT community as like, yo, you are not above reproach. Like, you are not above everybody else. If we can talk shit about everybody else, white, black, Chinese, Indian, male, female, rich, poor, why can't we talk about you? Why are you the untouchables,
and to add on,
and the whole thing is what the worst part is their response of like going into the Netflix boardroom, and trying to like shut things down, and like it shows.
Yeah, let me give context to that. Like 1,000 employees are about to demonstrate a walkout. I'm like, damn, I've never heard anything like that. 1,000 employees. But they recently fired one of their employees who was leading the charge, who turns out to be a black trans woman. So they have internal conflicts with the company right now because a lot of people are wanting Netflix to pull the stand-up off the platform.
And now they want to go back and take all of Medea's off too because he's impersonating. Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
You can say that again.
See, and that's what I was just gonna touch on. That is the fact of I would love to ask all the black transgenders, do you think they would have advocated for you if the majority of transgenders weren't white? Do you really think that movement would have made that type of impact or moved that far forward if it was majority white? Think about that one. Black people have been getting killed in the streets by police, by KKK, by random white guys who think that a kid with an Arizona iced tea and a bag of Skittles is a threat to the community. You think that if it was majority blacks, that the transgender community would have moved as far forward as it has? Think about that before you go and defend and start going off another black man who has more of a plight, a legitimate plight to go, to side with.
Yeah.
Right. Final thoughts, Smith?
I think that they wanted to use him as the scapegoat for a lot of the shit that they got going on in their own community. One of the biggest things that Dave Chappelle mentioned was that one of his friends who took their life was transgender.
Daphne.
And that Daphne, and that he actually put her on. The trans community wouldn't even put her on. So he had her opening up shows for him. You know what I mean? When you're hearing the dialogue about the things that he said, you don't hear the dialogue that he was supportive of transgender women and putting them on his show so that they can open up for him and they making money because he's putting them on. You understand?
Yeah.
But it's easy to say, oh, look what he said. No, fuck what he said. Look what he did. How about that?
Or here's the other thing that going on with Smith.
Sounding like Trump.
Daphne, when Daphne supported Dave Chappelle, instead of hearing what Daphne had to say, or they turned on her.
They turned on her, yes.
For having a difference of opinion than a monolith.
Exactly.
Sounds like people need to read Adam Grant's Think Again.
And this is a transgender who had direct contact with the man, spent time with the man. If he hated transgenders or had this transphobia, as it's put, why would he be in direct contact with someone and try to support them?
Exactly.
All right, well, we'll insert one more LGBTQ story.
But that wasn't in the article.
Superman's son is bisexual in the new comics. So DC is going. I think this inserting more inclusivity and diversity into their storyline. So Jonathan Kent, which is Lois Lane and Superman's son, he is bisexual. It has caused some interesting uproar. Some people applaud the decision. Obviously, there's others that feels like, yo, this is unnecessary. I did listen to one comic book head, and he was saying like it kind of deviates from the storyline of Jonathan Kent, but nonetheless, this is another cultural thing. Just initial reaction, real quick. What do you think of the announcement of a superhero's sexual preference? This is the first time this made a
These
big.
niggas they going too hard with this gay shit. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, Al. Is it because like gay people represent all different cultures and nationalities? Because I don't know, man. They just going too hard with this shit. Like, enough of it. Like, we get that niggas are fucking niggas want to be included. Is he the first gay superhero?
Nah, there's a shit ton of gay, lesbian, superheroes in the comic industry. It's just
what I'm saying,
I guess this one course of being that this is super. First off, it was very misleading in regards of it's being Superman per se. It's not super like Clark Kent, but
So I'm saying they going too far. It's just more like seems like I think it's just trying too hard to just
healthy appetite
to incorporate
true orientation.
Like, we get it. We want everybody to be included. We want the gay people to be inclusive. But like, I don't know, from the Dave Chappelle shit to this right here to calling niggas he and them or them and it and at the workplace. Like, we get it. Like, do y'all feel like America is not accepting now? Like, if all of this is done, I feel like majority of the people are still not accepting of gay people to the point where, not to where like they gotta like them, just like, okay, I'ma just like I'm cool. Like, I understand that we have to cohabit with these niggas.
Man,
do y'all feel like we've accepted, like America has accepted that
concept more than blacks, brother? That's what I feel.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying.
Into the story.
Why are we still going so hard? Like, we get it. That's the only part that I don't understand.
Because other people want to come out.
And I'm cool if y'all niggas want to. Okay, cool.
Very popular and famous, and they have to still push the agenda.
Make a gay superhero. Make one. But don't make a superhero who wasn't gay now. Like, that makes no sense.
It's the reason they want to make the black James Bond and the black Superman a long time ago, brother.
Yeah, but that's like
it's the same shit. It's the more things change, the more they stay the same. Because America is not going to rethink.
Like that's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Being a comic book head myself, one, there was a black Superman.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there was the Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that was a whole separate, different comic book. This, that, and the other. It didn't get any type of heat. Didn't get any type of weird thing about it. Nobody made a big deal. Everybody was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." Black Superman with a hammer and everything, and a Man of Steel suit and everything. It was a real cool comic. Actually, I think I have 2 copies. And had they said technically speaking, this is a separate character, versus the original Superman. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. The black Superman, he was just black. It was like, it had nothing to do with him being Superman. He was just a black dude who became the Superman, okay?
Black Clark.
Now, here's the thing. When we think of our heroes, male, female, black, white, whatever, we don't think about their sexual preference. We don't think about their foot fetish, their S&M, their, pegging, if they like to jerk off at night watching. We don't think about that. That's not what makes them heroes. That is not why we're interested in them. Most superheroes that we see, you tell me a movie or a TV show, movie, or even a comic book where you see all of this backstory or this personal life. You don't see them going through their everyday life of like, oh, I've got to pay the rent. Oh, I've got to go out on a date. Oh, got to hook up with the friends tonight for, drinks at the bar. That doesn't happen. You hear the villain comes into the story, and then the superhero goes into action. They have their battle, and then the superhero wins the day, whatever the case is.
Well, you do have love interest in comic stories, though. Like you had Spider-Man and what's that chick? Mary, some joint. You had in the X-Men, you had Cyclops and what's the Phoenix chick's name?
Hold on. The whole thing is, I'm not saying you don't have some interest. What I'm saying is that's not what makes
it's not the premise. Yeah.
It's not the premise of what makes them the superhero.
Correct.
All right. So to say like making them bisexual, like, oh, seeing yourself in, it's like I when I was a kid, I loved Spider-Man. I wanted to be Spider-Man. I didn't see Spider-Man was white. I didn't see that Spider-Man was a white man dating a white woman. I saw, hey, this is a guy who can fling through the air and climb on stuff and do all this other cool shit. That's what made him Spider-Man, not who he dated, not who he's sleeping with, not what his sexual preference is, not what his skin color was. None of that made him Spider-Man. What made him Spider-Man was that he got bitten by a bug. That's all that, we saw as kids growing up. And we never even thought twice about sexual preference or skin color, this, that, and the other. It's not until with this, I guess, generation or this time where we are so oversensitive about that shit that it's now just gone from, okay, you make a valid point. Yeah, I can see how someone would want, a black kid who want to look up to a black superhero. Now it's just gotten to a point where it's just like obnoxious. Yeah. That's the problem. It's not that it's obnoxious. It's like, hey, we're gay. Did you know we're gay? By the way, we're gay. Hey, we're transgender. Did you know we're transgender? Are you transgender? Have you thought about being transgender? Do you know a friend that's trans? It's like, all right, dude, enough. They're get it.
Force feeding this shit everywhere now.
Exactly. You're not normalizing it. You're making it a nuisance.
Yeah.
Well, I could almost say, I think, granted, this is not similar uproar. I think people got upset where the new Iron Man, because Iron Man, I don't know if you guys seen that in the Avengers movies, this kind of went parallel to the comics. Iron Man dies, right?
Yeah.
So the new Iron Man is a black little girl. So do we feel the same way about this? If this, where it's just like when you include diversity and inclusion, are we feeling the same way that Iron Man being a black, Albert Einstein type of chick playing Iron Man? Do we feel the same way?
I have a problem with if she's calling herself Iron Man.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Yeah.
She could be Iron Lady. She could be Iron Woman. She could be Iron.
See, yeah, you got to be a brand new character.
A young black girl scientist that a genius black girl. Who the fuck has a problem with it? I don't have a problem with it. Making it a genius black girl who's a LGBT queen and she's out there protesting for that. Yes, I got a fucking problem with that.
So hold up. I hear Schubert and Kelvin saying, yeah, I got a problem with it. Smith, you don't have a problem with the new Iron Man being a black Einstein-like broad.
No, I don't have a problem with it. If she's not going to be preaching LGBT shit, no, I don't.
Yeah, let her be a regular old superhero. Huh?
All right, so but see, but here's the funny thing. I think I'm hearing, okay, and it's funny because now we're having a difference of opinion here. It seems as though that and Schubert, you could clean this up for me. It seems as though be original in your thought creation, where Smith, it seems like you're not. It depends on who is. I don't know. I can't think of the word, but it seems as though you're.
So here's the thing. What you don't understand. So me and Kelvin are in agreement. Like, listen, if you want to have a spin-off superhero, like the War Machine is to Iron Man. Now you want to have a black female Iron Woman, that's fine. But if she's a woman and you're calling her Iron Man,
I agree with
it's
that.
a contradiction.
Exactly.
It's a contradiction.
Yeah, and then y'all even said, probably, I think it was you at the beginning,
It's
that it kind of fucks up the timeline. It kind of messes with the story.
Well, no,
Yes.
it's
Like, yo, this isn't the original story, bro.
But Superwoman is Superwoman. Spider-Woman is Spider-Woman. Like,
Yeah.
so that I agree with Black Zeus. You wouldn't call him Iron Man because you're not Iron Man. You're Iron Woman. Like, it just makes sense. What I'm saying is, though, I wouldn't care if it's a young black girl who's a genius, as long as she's not pushing the LGBT agenda on me. I don't care. Like that, it wouldn't bother me. You know what I mean?
So if you see
because
my
it's
screen,
a separate fight.
This is going. Riri Williams is going to be the new Iron Man. So I've seen the story headline. I watch a couple of comic brothers online. They have these discussions, and I think a lot of the brothers kind of side with how Kelvin line of thinking and Schubert line of thinking is. It's just like, I think this is lacking creativity.
It is.
To wrap it up, it's just more so like, look, I understand you want to use these iconic superheroes to bring in your agenda, whether it's LGBTQ agenda or whether it's Black agenda, but it just seems as though like, yo, this lacks creativity. If you want to have a Black character to, surmise strength and all this superpower, make it an original character. If you want to have someone who is bisexual, transsexual, pansexual, all the sexuals, make that a new character. Like hijacking original characters just seem kind of
it's like they're making another Doogie Howser MD with a little Asian girl, I think, or a little Hawaiian girl. It's like, why?
I can tell you now.
Go ahead, Cal.
This Iron Man right here ain't gonna have the same success as the other Iron Man series. Let's wrap that up right now.
They look at algorithms still, and they're saying that it's easier to make a sequel than be creative and make something new.
Well, this one ain't gonna have a success.
Yeah. And that's why you have the
bisexual. Don't make nothing new though. This is like just another sequel. Put somebody else in there. Let's go with this audience now. Put an autistic child.
You know the sad thing?
No.
The sad thing is true. Like, no one's made anything new in decades. All right. Like, the last new movie or series of things that we had, Fast and Furious. All right, Fast and Furious. Can you tell me a movie or a series that is original since Fast and Furious? Everything else is a remake of something that's already been done.
And if it's an original new movie, it's not really that good.
Invincibles, because they did good.
Yeah.
The Invincibles was something new. You know what I mean? Like a family of, and it was well done.
Even the Wonder Years, they brought back the Wonder Years.
They brought back the Wonder Years.
That's what I'm saying.
It's Black.
Take out the algorithm. Look at the numbers. It did good. Let's just change the face of it and do it.
So I think outside of Superman's son being bisexual, I think this screams to a larger concern in regards of the lack of creativity in Hollywood.
It's not just lack of creativity. It's also, and this is why I don't understand the LGBT community, the social justice warrior community, the leftist community. It's pandering. It's like giving you a lollipop and patting you on your head and say, "Oh, you happy now? Okay, go over there in that corner. Go be happy with your lollipop. Go be happy with your piece of candy." They're not giving you anything of quality, of substance, anything new to say, "Hey, here's us." They're just repackaging shit and selling it back to you. It's like, "Oh, here you go. Here's your version of it." And I think, me personally, I'd be more insulted by that shit.
Yeah.
I look how when Black people saw Black Panther, they had a real sense of pride in this character. It was not a remake. It wasn't a package. It was a brand new, somewhat brand new character that was specifically for Black people.
Yeah, they was
Black Panther about to be White Panther in 20 years, guaranteed.
Yeah, he's gonna be white. It's gonna be White Cactus. It's gonna be a white woman.
And I don't want to hear shit about.
Nah, y'all got that shit wrong.
Being mad about it.
They got that shit wrong. That shit gonna be
Asian.
called Pink. It's gonna be called Pink Panther. Pink Panther. That motherfucker be gay as hell, bro.
You stupid as hell. He's so stupid.
Oh man.
we about to get flagged.
You gonna have glue
Yeah, we're gonna be flagged. I had to do some editing on that one. All right, let's talk about one interesting bit of news that I did see coming back from my trip. So this is from Yahoo News. Once again, I love when it comes to our education system. I love these topics because, especially being that we have two educators on here.
Who?
So this is from Yahoo News. Should there be special programs for gifted students? New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio on Friday, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, announced a plan to gradually eliminate his city's program for gifted and talented students K through 12. Starting next fall, the nation's largest school district will no longer admit incoming kindergartens into special gifted classes or school. Instead of accelerated learning, will be made accessible to all students in their own schools. The impending change come after years of criticism of the racial makeup of students in the city's gifted and talented program. About 75% of the 16,000 students in New York City's gifted program are white or Asian, but those groups only make up 25% of the total student body, according to the New York Times. The programs provide advanced academic instruction to high-performing students, are offered in nearly every state. Like New York, a number of school districts across the country have also begun to reconsider the value of placing high-performing students on a separate educational track peers program. And then the article goes on giving citations from people who are in support of the gifted program and citation of people who are critics of the program. Thoughts, fellas, in regards of New York City's decision?
I think that's stupid. I think they should keep
Elaborate, Calvin, Mr. Legend.
Well, they should keep it. Are they gonna get rid of special ed programs for the kids who need the extra help? I just know like one thing that they that we kind of stress to teachers when we think about like differentiating instruction and making sure that people get it, is that we don't forget about and that we don't challenge the kids, that we remember to challenge the kids who are, above grade level instead of dumbing it down. So I think that's stupid. I get the whole makeup is different. So are they saying, because they're like, what, now the kids' feelings are hurt? Or they're just not getting let in fairly? Like, what is the argument there? That, okay, like, I don't feel like... You want me to share
some of the critics?
Yeah, you're still giving the same education no opportunities unless they're saying that the gifted and talented programs are in different schools.
67%, yet 75% of whites.
Yeah, but like if I have, so are they saying?
It's always been a thing where they have not let in minorities.
Yeah, but are we talking about a whole different? We talking about gifted and talented schools or programs? Because
they have not let these students into these gifted and talented programs and quote unquote the schools. They've been primarily for the Asian community and the white community. And the problem is that when they was trying to let some black kids in there, the Asian and white parents had a problem with it, saying that the level of education would come down if these students was in it. This was some long-standing shit. This didn't just come about now.
Correct. There's been a battle for years.
I do want to ask a question, though.
Decades.
I
have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Black Zeus.
The students, all right, now, my whole thing is the qualifications. Did they pass all the qualifications for?
Yeah, there's a testing metric for this.
Kindergarten test that they give them.
Okay.
But for like all of the programs that they have, there is a testing metric.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So, and the whole thing is that the parents protested against these students who passed the testing. Is that what happened?
That's what happened initially. In this case, that's not what's happening. In this case, de Blasio is saying he wants to take away the gifted and talented.
No. But what I'm saying is that the reason? Is that the reason why the demographics in the gifted and talented schools are they protesting? Are they purposely blocking out, or is it that people aren't qualifying? Because that's two different subjects.
And to your point, Schubert,
things they were intentionally trying to block them out, but two, they were blocking them out through the kind of testing that they were giving them. I know it sounds crazy.
What was the kind of testing?
But you have to understand, if I'm a parent who's well-to-do and I have my child in a preschool situation, a private school situation before they get to kindergarten, they've gotten certain things. If I'm a impoverished parent and I can't put my child in these programs, then my child is already going to be behind. You understand?
See, but that sounds like a problem not on the program, but that sounds like a problem from the home. No, like if your child is not able to compete, that's because here's a couple of the critics, right? Just to share it real quick. So one critic would say that kids left out of the gifted education learn that there are limits to what they can achieve. Another critic says that there's no evidence that gifted programs offer much of a benefit to any students. And then one says that a diverse classroom provides benefit that go far beyond academics. See, and that last criticism is what is that bugs the shit out of me. But go ahead, Black Zeus, let you finish your thoughts.
So to hit each one of those points, the first criticism you said was because of it gives kids a sense of there's limits to what they can achieve. Yes, there are limits to what you can achieve. I don't care how much you dream about being in the NBA. If you're like 5'2" and you can't dunk, you can't dribble, you don't have the skills, you don't make it to the NBA. That's just
that's feel like a personal attack. But go ahead.
I said 5'2". The whole thing is, it's like the second point was I lost my train of thought. What was the second point?
The second criticism, there's no evidence that the gifted programs offer much of a benefit to any students.
That's the thing. The gifted and talent programs. So the whole thing is, even with gifted and talented programs, it all depends on the individual and what they're going to do once they get out of school. Because there's some people who are academically smart, but do terrible in life because of the fact that they don't know how to socialize. They don't have other skills, that come into play. So it doesn't guarantee anything. It really just doesn't guarantee anything. And then the third point was the fact of I'm sorry, Pratt. I lost
a diverse classroom provides benefits that go far beyond academics.
The diverse classroom, like my whole thing is that how exactly do they metric that? Academics, we can, have a metric system to say how well you do in math, science, reading, this, that, and the other, and how well you perform. But what other of these benefits that they're, figuring out, and how are they doing the metrics on it? The whole thing is that it all depends on what school system you're in. Because you could be in a school system of 90% dumbasses, and you're going to be in a gifted talented class because you're exceeding the dumbasses. And you're going to look like Michael Jordan when you're in a room of, munchkins from the Wizard of Oz, but you're not going to look like Michael Jordan if you're competing against LeBrons, So the whole thing is, you got to be in a room full of LeBrons, and Michael Jordans to see where you really measure up. That just makes more sense, just the same way Kel said, are you going to eliminate the special ed for those that are below average? It doesn't make any sense to say that. Now, the key point should be is the testing, legitimate, and are the students that are wanting to get into such programs qualifying, and they get the same level of education. Now, there could be other key factors such as, yes, poverty. Resources do make a difference. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, your resources and what you're able to give your child is on nobody else but you.
Your home situation.
This is your responsibility to decide whether or not you are in a proper place to make, to bring a child in this world and take the responsibility of making sure that child has every resource that, can give them the best opportunities. Now, if you're not taking that responsibility, why is it the fault of society to make up for your bad decisions?
If it's equitable, if the fairness is there, then by all means. My daughter was in the 4th grade when they pulled her out and said that she needed to be in a gifted and talented program. So, as a parent who has a child in a gifted and talented program, I like the gifted and talented program. You know,
Exactly.
She was in.
She should be awarded for her smarts, bro.
And she was excelling past of what was going on in the class. You can do all the differentiated instruction you want, but when the motherfucker is a head above the class, you can't keep up with that student.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you got all these different nuances of other students. You know what I mean? So that makes it harder. You know what I mean? You end up, I've seen you try to make that student a helper and shit, and it's like, no, I don't want to be a helper. I want to learn more. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I respect the gifted and talented program, but like I said, long as there's equity and fairness, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm all for it. You know what I mean?
You know, one of the things that's concerning to me, because, you know, we've been talking about what's been happening in the education system across this nation for months now. I would say we've been talking about these topics for well over a year. And there was a story that was produced this past week that I kind of can link this together. So this came from the New York Post, where the Pentagon first software chief quits because he states that China has already won the global tech war. And then he goes on to say that we have no competing fighting chance against China in the next 15 to 20 years. Right now, it's already a done deal. It's already over, in his opinion. Nicholas Chilean, he's 37 years old. And you know, for anyone wants to read this article that was written by the New York Post, what I get a sense of is, America for the past 10 to 15, 20 years have done so much damage in regards to our education system that now you have a former chief software engineer basically quit his job saying that, what I'm doing here is pretty much a sham because, China has won. So we spent so much time in regards to making things fair that we lost sight in regards of how we should be advancing our society. And this just points to a bigger problem. It's just like, look, not all kids are equal, hands down. It's just like some kids are just going to excel more. So now what we're going to do, those gifted kids who are now not going to get the ability to test their knowledge even more, they're going to sit in a classroom and just be dumbed down. And now we got to compete with the likes of China. And we already got a chief Pentagon software engineer saying that, it's a wrap. Chinese education have excelled us. It's a travesty.
That's the problem when you drop your standards of what's really important.
Exactly.
This is the whole reason why I have the argument of I don't understand why in our school systems we put things to the forefront that do not measure up. As much as I love sports, it makes no fucking sense. Zero fucking sense why some of the very highest paid person on a college campus is the fucking football coach.
Yeah.
Because in America, we pride ourselves on sports and we pay athletes handsome salaries. We don't pride ourselves on advancing our future generations. But
then we complain about how
get mine, get me a mines, get mine rich and get my family rich, and I'm looking out for me and mine. That's what we pride ourselves on as a American society. You know what I mean? So
this is why the argument when people use this dumbass argument of every time they look at a demographic somewhere, they somehow expect that because America is 13% black, 40 I think it's 30, I forget what the percentage was, 35% Latin, Latino, this, that, and the other, and then 52% white, and then everything else in the middle is Indian and Asian.
You're
and
other,
America, yeah. So America, expects every fucking area, every fucking job, every fucking career to be equally measured out.
Yeah,
That's
it's not gonna. It won't happen.
No,
And then
no,
you
but
add in,
no.
now you want not only add in the demographic color-wise, you want to add in how many gays, how many lesbians, how many transsexuals, how many people with disabilities,
Yeah,
how many people
I get that.
people that like cheeseburgers. What the fuck?
Hey, hold up. You said we like 13% of the population, yet we still make up 80%, 86% of this people that's incarcerated. So there is a still lack of unfairness that happens in America. Like we ain't going.
Is that a lack of unfairness?
Yes, that shit is. You know what that shit is, bro. That shit is.
No, bro. I'm not saying that.
But I think Schubert's talking about in regards of qualification for the jobs and the careers.
Let him say it.
Yeah, but this is part of that systemic part is still there. That's why we got people getting out of jail for 25 and 40 years that are fucking found not guilty of ever doing shit. So don't just walk over that shit like it's not there. That shit does exist and it does have effect because it breaks down families, it breaks down future generational wealth. It does have a fucking lasting effect. You know?
Yes, I'm not denying that. All I'm saying is the fact of demographics doesn't necessarily apply everywhere. We have to look into the fact of certain things apply, have a huge implication, such as, coming from a two-parent home, coming from a certain type of economic background, coming from a certain type of standard being held within the home. Because those Asians that are taking over all these jobs and that are in these, they don't have the numbers that white America has, or they don't have the number that black America has. They don't necessarily have the financial resource, but they got that they got that level of discipline and prioritizing what's important. That when you look at per capita, Asians are fucking dominating everything.
Yeah. They dominate a lot of the STEM field careers. They really do.
So you want to know something funny, Black Zeus? They do.
What's up?
So our team that beat China, the team that beat China in the competition, the American team that beat China, and I forget what exactly it was. It was some kind of like STEM competition or coding shit. But the American team that beat China was all Chinese.
Hey. Yeah, but
gotta find this article and picture because it was the funniest.
I need to see that.
You got it.
It was the funniest shit ever. So, Black Zeus, you right.
So we're importing our talent.
They were still.
That's what it sounds like.
But it was Chinese that beat the Chinese.
Wow.
Like,
is where we place our importance, man. Like to that point, man. We talked about past discussion in regards of math being racist and this being, and it's just like, what are we doing in our education system? And like, to be honest, to read that headline that New York City is getting rid of their gifted and talented program, I understand where the critics are coming from, but this ain't it. Especially when you're talking about global competition, this ain't it.
So the whole thing is, my whole thing is this, right? Their answer to, let's say the statistics is that black kids or minorities are falling behind. Your answer is to pull the kids that are moving ahead down.
That's what it sounds like, Black Zeus.
Up.
That's what it sounds like. That's the solution.
I'm getting a D in class, and Bradley's getting an A. Instead of you helping me work my way up to a B, you're like, no, Bradley, you got to come down to a C.
Yep.
That's your answer? That's
their answer.
That's the answer.
Like, how does that make any like, we are just becoming we used to be a meritocracy. Now we're being mediocrity.
Bro,
like,
to be honest,
shit is crazy.
It makes me fearful of the next 20 to 30 years, in all honesty. I'm dead ass. So like when we have a shortage of doctors, nurses, specialized field technicians out here, we could pinpoint to how we structurally dismantle our education system.
I'm sorry, Einstein. Albert Einstein, we're gonna have to dumb you down because you're white. I'm sorry, Stephen Hawking. We have to dumb you down because you're white.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Like,
I'm not gonna necessarily get into these next couple of storylines, but I just want to read the headlines. Just expect. This is from The Guardian. U.S. heating bills will jump as much as 54% this winter. So, Kelvin, I know you're a stickler to having everybody in your house wearing sweat clothes. So, people are expecting, economists are expecting as much as your gas and electric bill to be up as much as 54% this winter.
Well, it's about to be electric, or what's that? Space heater season.
And
Yeah, see, I got firewood, homie.
real quick, a record 4.3 million workers quit their jobs in August, led by the food and retail industries. And Kraft Heinz says that people must get used to higher food prices just going forward. So we thought many folks believe that this is transitory inflation, that maybe prices will eventually come down. Unfortunately, you have retail sector saying like, nope, these prices are here to stay.
Hold up. Do you say people quit their jobs?
Yes. Just
in
real
this
quick.
economy?
Yeah. So this is from CNBC. A record 4.3 million workers quit their jobs in August, led by food and retail industries. Employment vacancies fell 10.4 million during the month, a drop of 659,000 from July's upward revised 11.1 million. The decline was well short of the market expectation. And they said that this is the highest amount of workers leaving their jobs since December of 2000. Curious, I think I will have to go back in the history archives to see exactly what was going on in the year 2000, particularly in December 2000 when you had just as many people quit during that month. But yeah, 4.3 million people quit their jobs in August.
In this economy,
I guess they got it like that.
Hey,
I'm like,
hey,
that
Cass,
doesn't
let
make
me
no
share
sense.
something right quick.
What's up, brother?
Let me share something right quick.
All right.
Unless some of these people are like, yo, fuck that. I'm working at, Heinz ketchup commercial when the bank is offering $18 an hour to be a teller. I'm going to go be a teller. Like, unless you're telling me just like a shit. Like,
go ahead. Try to share something.
Smith, if not, you probably got the. Oh, it did work. All right, there you go.
That was ladies and gentlemen who are unable to see what's happening. Yes, our American team that beat China in the international STEM competition all appear to have Asian heritage. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So we practically imported our talent.
Yep. But that's what we've been doing.
Hey, look, and this is America. Like to Schuber's point,
if you look at the Silicon Valley, if you look at Silicon Valley, most of Silicon Valley is Asians and Indians. Okay, in the STEM field. Okay, and the whole thing is a lot of them are imported. This is why Trump talking shit about immigrants was fucking suicidal, because we have a specific immigration law that allows you to get a certain type of
the H-1B visa program.
Yes. So that way, if you're a fucking genius, you can come into this country and, help us develop and move forward, and become a citizen automatically. You ain't got to go through none of the bullshit. Okay.
Well, there's some abuses with that program, which we're not going to get into.
I could say, but the fact that we have created such a program shows that it's because we don't have the resources within. We don't have the mind.
And could it be the fact that we dumped out our education in the past 20 years?
Bingo.
It's all cyclical, everyone. It's all cyclical.
Bingo.
When we get rid of our gifted, it comes full circle. When we get rid of our gifted programs, this is what we have to resort to.
Instead of just saying, you know what? We need to raise our kids to be smarter, hold them to a fucking consistent standard. Stop saying that every time somebody's falling behind, it's because of racism, because of this, because of that. It's like, no, motherfucker, what did you do? What the fuck did you do? Because you don't complain about that shit when you look at when you go and look at the Olympics and look who's on the fucking racetrack.
Yeah.
I don't see now, everybody know the white girl gonna lose. Everybody know the white guy gonna lose. But nobody cares about that faster. All right, nobody gives a fuck about that shit. The NFL, NBA, you name the sport other than hockey. You know what I mean? But like,
valid points.
Y'all bugging.
Yeah, man, valid points. All right, let's wrap this up.